Can we use an inkjet printer to transfer artwork to Linoleum? Yes. Is it better than using a laser printer? No. What kind of glue should you use? Modpodge or waterproof wood glue? And how to do it properly without screwing up a bunch of times. Let's find out. So when looking for how to transfer inkjet prints to other surfaces like linoleum, I came across a few suggestions. One was Modpodge, the other was wood glue, and I somewhere also read about using typical white craft glue. So that's what I wanted to try for this experiment. Until now I always used laser prints, and I used a photo transfer podge that's also available from Modpodge but also from other brands, and that works really well. You can see it, for example, I use it for the Tempus Fugit print. But for this print I went to the copy shop, and turns out the artwork was a little bit too small on the page, and I was getting annoyed at going there again, so I thought now it's the time to properly find out if I can't use the inkjet printer that I have here at home. To have a good comparison, I decided to use the same artwork and cut it in 4 pieces and try the different glues really side by side. And the artwork that I'm using is the artwork for the current print that I'm working on. It's called Diem, and you can see the long and tedious process of creating it in the last video. So these wrinkles you see here and the fact that it ripped at one part is a good sign that I used too much glue and that it was too wet. And the same goes for the craft glue here. This is also the most fluid glue by itself from all of them, which is of course a problem when working with inkjet prints, because the basic difference between the laser printer and the inkjet is that the ink from the laser printer is thermally sealed and won't dissolve with water, but the inkjet ink is not waterproof and it will dissolve. So that's why I thought maybe let's give a waterproof wood glue for outside usage a try. This might help here. So we can already tell that the crafts glue on the top right has definitely the most water, and now I use a hairdryer to properly dry all the glue. So Modpodge on the top left, crafts glue top right, and on the bottom the wood glue, on the left a normal wood glue and on the right side a water resistant one. And now that everything feels dry, I get a cloth and get water on the back side, so I can get rid of the paper and just leave the ink that is hopefully held in place with the glue on the linoleum. So we can already see the crafts glue isn't holding up too well. The Modpodge worked quite well, I think. The crafts glue, yeah. The wood glue wasn't too good either, but the water resistant wood glue was definitely my favorite in this try here. So typically I like to stain my linoleum with a color so I can better see where I already did cut, and so I wanted to give this a try also with the different glues here. So here are the final results. As I already said, I like the water resistant wood glue the best, but also the Modpodge worked quite well, I thought, but I decided to give the water resistant wood glue a proper test now, and but this time I wanted to stain the linoleum before transferring the image to it, so we can see if this makes a difference for the image transfer. As you can see, I applied the wood glue and then I immediately used the hairdryer and made it sure that it is really dry, and a few minutes later I started dampening the backside with water. Sadly, we can already see the ink coming apart and it feels still gluey and wet, so I didn't dry it enough. At least I was able to properly clean that linoleum block, and after letting it dry again, we can try again. And this time I made sure to give it a few hours to dry before I tried again to remove the paper. Now I was quite happy with the result. It was not perfect, but good enough to see where I had to carve, until I tried this stress test here on the first block and found that the Modpodge was holding up actually way better than the wood glue. So I guess so I made sure that I give it a good even coat, and since I just printed this one out, I thought I just hit it quickly with the hairdryer to make sure the ink is dry before applying it. But in hindsight I wouldn't do that anymore, because I think it wrinkles the page even further. So the paper here looks a little bit wrinkly. I brushed this wrinkles out with a cloth. And when everything feels dry again, it's time for the water again. With having the linoleum stained beneath, we can see really well here where all of the paper is really gone, or where we still have a thin layer left. Now comparing both, the Modpodge on the right here feels better, but it also has bigger areas where some of the ink rubbed off completely. So both usable, I guess, but both not perfect. And then I thought, maybe I should have let it dry properly this time also. This time it has to be the perfect transfer. So I make sure that I have it spread evenly, give it a little bit time to start to dry, and that the print is as dry and straight as possible. Also, I thought a little bit more pressure might help to give it a good bonding between the Modpodge and the ink, so that's why I used this Japanese printing baron here this time. And now, again, a few hours later in the evening, one last time getting rid of paper. So I can already tell that the work at least did pay off. It is by far the best of all of them, and in the middle I have no problems in the transfer at all. Just on the borders you can see spots where the ink came apart, and I don't know why that is. My best guess would be that the Modpodge dried too much on the sides because I waited, but I don't know, perhaps you have a better idea. Let's have a final comparison. This is the wood glue. This was the first Modpodge transfer where I didn't wait enough, and now last but not least we have the final transfer. Alright, that's it. Hope you found it interesting. Good luck with trying it on your own, and I can't wait now to finally get started with carving this block of linoleum.